in chapter 14, in this chapter itself, I think you have read at home, and I just refresh your memory only. It says here actually Buddhism is able to cope with a lot of modern needs of the future. It's because basically Buddhism is a religion which is scientific. All right, and I'm sure if the more you study Buddhism, you know that there are many things which science begin to say, starts to say today, which had been said by Buddha 2,500 years ago. In fact, the more scientists found out about or discover about something, it's only try to re-emphasize what the Buddha has said. In fact, it will not shake Buddhism. For example, Eric von Däniken say about a human being probably could have come from outer space. Immediately that book came out, The Chariots of the God. Then Christians have problem already. They must write a book answering the Chariots of the God. There was many years ago, I remember when I was still a student, we read that book, Chariots of the God, and then the Christian answer to Chariots of the God. Because it really shakes the Christian faith. They believe man is created by God. And this Eric von Däniken came and says, no, human being came from outer space. Our forefathers came from outer space. Alright, so it really shakes their belief. But then even if that is true, what Eric von Däniken says is true, it will not shake Buddhism in any way, because we say there are living beings in this whole universe. In the 84,000 world systems, there are bound to be other living beings. So it does not shake the Buddhist faith, but it does shake those who believe in the creation. Alright? So Buddhism is a scientific religion. It can cope with modern challenges because of that. It is rational because the Buddha himself encouraged us to have the spirit of investigation. Buddhism is a progressive religion. How progressive is all up to you now. Okay? It is because of the progressive nature of Buddhism that Buddhism managed to penetrate to countries like China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, and even to the other side, the Afghanistan during those areas, that time, that era. Alright? Afghanistan, Pakistan, all these countries are Buddhist countries in the past, but it has been taken over by other beliefs after a certain period of time. After I've got time, I can talk to you a little bit about this spreading of the religion. Now in this chapter itself also, chapter 14, it says, basically Buddhism has taught us a practical life, thank you, a system of self-culture, means it is a kind of inner development. When all other religions expect you to surrender yourself to something higher, to something unknown to you, Buddha came along and says, no, don't do that. Look into yourself. There is this potential in you. There is this seed, which we call the Buddha seed. And you must not throw away this potential, the Buddha says. And he gave us a system where we can self-culture ourselves. That's basically Buddhism. And it is a scientific method of education. Alright? Why it is... Now, there are many ways of education. Some education are not really education, they are indoctrination. You know indoctrination? That's especially true in politics and in certain religion also, when they have become very dogmatic. They tell you, these are the things you must do, no questions. That is, in education, is called indoctrination. Alright? Politicians like to use indoctrination also to sell the idea. Even in marketing also, you are actually indoctrinating the customer. Okay? For example, Guinness Stout is good for you. How do you know it's good for you? You never know. But that is a kind of indoctrination which is going on in the TV again and again. And you begin to believe. Or if you're a man, you must drink Guinness Stout. For example, if that is the kind of indoctrination they give. And you begin to believe, oh, I'm a man, therefore I must drink. That is kind of indoctrination. But Buddhist way of education is not that kind of education. It is a scientific approach, a scientific method in which you have to look at the situation, analyze the situation, also find ways and experiment and apply it yourself to prove whether it is true or not. In that sense, the Buddhist method of education is scientific. Okay? So the Buddhism can cope with modern scientific needs because of this scientific spirit which the Buddha advocates. Right, Buddhism is different from other religions in a certain way, is that he says here, even without sensual pleasure, life is endurable, according to Buddhism. Even without all those sensual things that you used to, life is still bearable. You can still endure life. And Buddhism is unique in the sense that it believes that without believing in immortality, man can be moral. Without believing in something divine up there, we can be righteous. Now there are some people of certain religion, they believe you must only believe in that, only you can be good. If you don't believe in that, you cannot be good. Some religion believe that, and some of the followers do strongly believe that. Therefore, sometimes when we Buddhists talk to a certain group of people, they say, you are good, so what? You don't believe in that, you can never reach there. Some of them will say that way, because they believe, no matter how you do, you still cannot come to that standard has been laid down by certain beings. Okay? But Buddha says no. Without believing in something divine, you still can be righteous. Without believing in the rewards and punishment, you still can be a good person. We are not like kids which need to be given sweets, only then they will do their work. No. So you must be matured spiritually. So Buddhism asks us to be so. Now in the next subtitle, I'm going through subtitle by subtitle, Religion in a Scientific Age. Now here it says that ever since the 17th century, when science began to take root in the world, you find that it has a great impact on various religions. Alright? Now the impact is so strong that sometimes certain traditional beliefs begin to be shattered. Like some of us Chinese, we don't believe some of the Chinese belief anymore because you're educated, because you have scientific knowledge. Alright? So some of the traditional belief been shattered. Or those people who pray to this and that, previously people used to pray to lightnings, thunders, suns, moons and things like that. As science progress, they find that it's silly to pray to those things. Right? So their traditional belief is shattered. But for some, they choose to disregard scientific discovery and stick to the old dogmas. You know dogmas? Do you know dogmas? A set of rules where you have to follow without questioning. Okay, dogmas. So some religion, even though science has progressed so much, they choose to disregard it. Okay? And this has brought hindrance to human progress. And this, I can say to you, happened in our world during the Dark Ages, before the Renaissance period. You know the history? Do you study the world history? Yes or no? Oh, you have forgotten. Never mind, Now, just to tell you, you see what happened is in the West, when science began to take root in the Western society, at that time, church has a lot of strong influence over the people. And basically, normally people are poor in the West during that time. That's where Vatican became very popular, very strong. They control most of the land in the West. Alright? That's how Marxists come about also, the communist belief. Why they say religion is the opium of the society? Because at that time, actually, to me, my personal belief, I think communism is not against religion, my personal belief. Why? Because what happened is, you must see how communists arose in that society at that time. People are so addicted to religion. People become a slave to religion. They never question the authority. Church become very strong. So this Karl Marx came along and says, look, brothers and sisters, all of you have been exploited and yet you do not know. You became the opium, Religion became the opium to the society. And he says, no, you should not, You should not let the religion take control of you. Look at the injustice that's happening in the society. Alright? Now let us not talk about Karl Marx. Let's go back to that situation where you find that religion starts to take root in the Western society. But Christianity refused to accept science at that time. This is a historical fact. It's not from me, but from historical fact. Many people who try to champion the cause of science has been chopped off the head, thrown into the lion's den. For example, Galileo. Those, at that time, even the Christians believed the world is flat, They believe the world is flat. And this scientist says, no, the world is oval. That when you go around, you come back to the same spot. But he says, no, nonsense. When you go to the edge of the world, you fall. Because it's a square. And it's a flat square. That was a Christian thought at that time. which is challenging, the scientific thought is challenging the Christian thought. And those people who try to champion science at that time, you find that they will not be long in this world. And because of that, Western world has been kept in the dark for many centuries. It is called the Dark Ages at that time. Until very recently, only a few hundred years back, but people came out. That was a period called Renaissance period. People challenged again the church. So people have been so much suppressed at that time. I'm talking about the Western society. So much suppressed. So much so that when people refuse to think about religion anymore after the Renaissance period, they become very secular. That's why secularism starts to happen in the West after that. People become very materialistic. People think that religion is something only when you are born, when you get married, when you die. And the youngsters refuse to learn about religion, most of them. And it's because of the religious suppressions of sex at that time, which gave rise to hippism during the early 50s and that period. Because of religious suppression, they think sex is guilty, sex is sinful, sex is dirty, sex is... So much so they have been suppressed for centuries, remember, since the Dark Ages. Suddenly they have been given the freedom, so they have total free sex after that. Hippism is actually the, side effect of that oppression. Now, I'm telling you this is historical fact about Dark Ages, about Renaissance, okay? So, I say this because it has something to do with this passage which says about certain religions try to disregard science, okay? So, they try to stick to the dogmas and then they try to avoid progress. Then there is another group of religion, because of science, they try to accommodate the popular theories, popular theories. For example, when Darwin gave his theory of evolution, that human being evolved from what? Yes? From ape, Some of them say it's our grandfather. Anyway, whatever it is. Now, basically, Christian does not accept this. But there are some broken groups from the sectarian group of Christianity who try to accommodate. It says, well, even though, we may evolve from apes, after all apes are created by God also. So indirectly we are created by God also. They try to accommodate and change to suit to the situation. Some religion does that. Okay. Now we cannot deny the fact that religion has sort of laid down the standard and values for our society to make our society a better place to live in. But a religion which is strongly stick to a dogma will make the religion seems outdated, cannot cope with the modern scientific need. In fact, it will stop progress. Certain country cannot progress is because of religion. Okay, I'm just giving you a general statement. Anyway, think for yourself. So, in order for sometimes for a religion to survive, the follower must be ready to receive changes without disturbing the original teaching. Now, for this, I give you an example. I always believe Buddhism can change, but not the Dharma. They are two different things, Dharma and Buddhism is two different things. Buddhism is what you see today, the buildings, the people, they celebrate festivals, they have all kinds of external things. But the Dharma is the essence of that religion. Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path, 3 characteristics of life. All these will never change through time. But Buddhism will. Maybe you may not agree with me. I give you an example. When Buddhism went to China, it has to change. Otherwise, the Chinese people won't accept Buddhism. You know Chinese people, Any other people outside China are called barbarian. Yes. This is historical also. That's why they are called Zhongguo, the central country where only civilized people stay. All people outside that central country are called barbaric people. 野蛮民族 outside. For Buddhism, which starts from India, by a black-skinned man, for example, northern India, maybe they're not that black, but anyway, they are different, all right? To bring the message across to China is not easy, you know that? After all, they have regard, all people from outside China are barbaric people, right? So you must see how difficult for Buddhism to go into China. It has gone through tremendous changes. Chanting must be Chinese nice. Sanskrit gate, parasangate, from the Heart Sutra, they have changed to jeti, polo, chen jeti. It's Chinese nice. Even the way the monks dress is Chinese nice. They don't wear that kind of, because of the climate, because of the cultural influence also. Alright? There are many aspects Buddhism has changed through time. In fact, Buddhism has changed every time it goes to a certain place. The very fact you see all these Buddha images here from all over the world, do they look alike? For example, Burma, Korean, the Chinese will look like Chinese. Alright? The Tibetan Buddha image will look like the Tibetans. The Mongolians will have moustache. Alright? The Indian Buddha images will look like Indians. And when I look through the magazine from the FWBO in the West, London, the Buddha image look like European. Now, the very fact that you see all these Buddha images shows that Buddhism have adapted themselves to time, to the culture of the place. That's the beauty of Buddhism. It does not, what you call, chase away or disregard the culture of the place where it went. It tried to assimilate and go into the culture, so much so that it becomes part of that race culture. So much so that Buddhism becomes part of Chinese culture. You feel as if you are Chinese, you automatically, there is some link with Buddhism. So much so that Buddhism and Thai culture is so difficult to spread, differentiate between the two. Which one is a Thai culture, which one is not a Thai culture. It's so difficult. That's the beauty of Buddhism. It has gone through changes in time. You can see for yourself the Buddha images. It doesn't look the same. Okay? So, that's what I said just now. Buddhism can change through time, but not the Dharma. No matter you are Mahayana or Theravada or Vajrayana, whatever it is, you all still believe Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Path. You still take three refuges. You still know the three characteristics of life. And you still understand the law of karma. These are all basic things in all the schools of Buddhism. It never changed. 2,500 years ago, it was like that. Today, it is like that. In the future, another 2,500 years, if Buddhism still survives, it will be like that. That is the Dharma, which never changed. No matter what happened to science, no matter what happened to this world, it stays. Dhamma is akaliko, timeless. Alright? So that is the subtitle. I think I've given more than... Anyway, the next subtitle is about Buddhism and science. I think I have to cut short, otherwise we've got no time for discussion. Now here basically he's trying to say that Buddhism can be easily embraced by scientific spirit because basically Buddha encouraged freedom of thoughts. That's one thing, which is actually very essential for a scientific person. Alright? It must be free. Secondly, is the Buddha himself, his approach to spiritual truth. Now, if a scientist, what scientists will do is they observe the nature. Then they get puzzled. How come like that? How come the lightning strikes? There will be light, bright, and after that there will be sound. They're puzzled. Okay? After that they have their own theory. Maybe it's like that, like that. Then they do their research to verify that theory. Alright? They have the hypothesis to verify that, and it becomes a theory. The Buddha did like that also. Buddha looked at the world. Old man, sick man, someone what? Dying man, dead man. He looked and says, how come the world is like that? He's puzzled. He's not satisfied with the answer that normally people get. Oh, everybody will have to go through that. Yes, I know that. Everybody knows it. Why is it so? So, because of his nature, curiosity, just like a scientist will be curious over things of nature, he started to have his own hypothesis, and then he tried to find out what's wrong. His experiment with himself, eventually he found the truth. So because the Buddha himself is like a scientist, therefore Buddhism is very close to scientific spirit in that sense. And Buddhism is very close to science. But that doesn't mean Buddhism is bersamaan or the same as science. Because there are many things science cannot do. Science do not know, Buddhism know. There are many things science cannot explain, Buddhism explain. Okay? Therefore, it's not true to say in certain ways that Buddhism is close to science, therefore Buddhism is equivalent to science. No, it is not true. Alright? Next one, next title. Now this is so, it's because of a limitation of science. You see the next title? Okay? Now it says here, science is limited. It's because of what? Firstly, our human senses are limited. Correct or not? Can you hear sounds which others cannot hear? Only a few have the privilege to hear. Hear sound which others cannot hear. Ooh, those songs which you cannot hear, others cannot hear, you can hear. Only few have the privilege. Many of us do not have that privilege because our sense organs are limited. Even the ray that we can see, in fact there are a lot of gamma and alpha rays or whatever it is in our air now, in this atmosphere. Can you see? You can't see. At this moment there are a lot of those electronical waves here. Can you hear? You need a transistor to hear that. You can't hear. Our senses are all limited. But scientific discovery is based on our senses. And based on apparatus which is very primitive also in a certain way. No matter how good they claim to be, but it is still primitive. Alright? So because of that, scientific truth is very limited. Alright? Many things, they only try to get data, try to get evidence, only they would like to take it as truth. But even that truth that you call scientific truth changes according to time. Previously they believed atom is the smallest molecule. Later they say, no, it's no more true. Atoms inside got some more smaller thing, what they call the electrons and what protons and some other things. And that also is not final. Inside they're so final more, which our present apparatus cannot detect. Alright? So you find that even the so-called scientific truth changes according to time. Alright? Because of our human limitation, our senses, our apparatus are primitive. Therefore, many of the things which are supposed to be truth in a few decades ago become not true today anymore. That's the limitation of science. So, and another thing is because why science is limited in the sense that science tends to look outward. They tend to look anything outside. They discover a lot about the universe, a lot about our world, but very little have they discovered inside. They try to change the world. I do not know whether they have changed or they make a mess of the world, but anyway, they try to change the world, but so little has been done to change the inner world here. Buddhism says sometimes you don't have to change the world. Sometimes by changing the inner world, you can accommodate with the outer world. By changing the outer world, sometimes you create more problem. Pollution. Alright? Pollution, landslide, this, that, all kinds of problems. Why? Because of human trying to change the world in the name of progress. But eventually it brings more trouble to us. But Buddhism is different because Buddhism looks inward. This is an inward journey. The world here is seldom dwelt, seldom discovered. Science has not gone so much on to this side. Okay? Even the psychologists themselves, psychiatry themselves also having problem. You got problem, you go and see a psychiatrist, and you keep on seeing him. After some time, he need a psychiatrist for his own treatment also. Alright? So, now if science can really make man better, then why are those countries like America, which is very advanced in science, why are the people that are not happy? Why there's so much trouble and violence and wars and insecurity happening in those countries? Verily, this shows that science is not the answer to human happiness. It is an answer to human comfort to a certain extent, but not to human happiness. Alright? In fact, science leaves the inner man unchanged, and it has heightened what? Human beings become more dependent. Correct or not? Nowadays, even want to walk to a certain distance, you're lazy, you're so far. You know, not those days people walk for miles and miles without complaint, because there's no other thing they can use. They have to walk. Alright? So, for us, it's far. When I went to a friend's place in Kelantan, he stays quite somewhere inside the jungle, He's so used to walking the tracks, To him, it takes about 10 minutes. So I says, is your house very far? He says, no, 10 minutes walk only. Mind you, his 10 minutes walk is half an hour walk, He's so used to it. He walk so fast. He said, yeah, reach already. We all walk as if it's quite a distance. Why? It's because we're so used to luxurious life. Good cars, transport to carry us. So when we start to walk half an hour, we thought it is like hours. Alright? But to him, it's 10 minutes walk. We have become more dependent on things that we, use today because of science. We have become insufficient, in many ways. Housewife no more pardon me, some only, not all, cannot cook good food anymore. Alright? Housewife cannot wash good clothes anymore because everything chunk inside the thing and it turn. Sometimes you have to scrub certain shirts, before throwing into the thing. So because of the convenience, you chuck everything inside, it turn and it come out. Never mind, So we become insufficient, inefficient also in certain ways. And man has become insecure also. What we have got in the name of progress in Kuala Lumpur is actually a lot of insecurity. You walk in at night, you don't feel secure. Go up bus, girls will have their own problems when you go up in a bus which is full of people. Men will have their own problem also. I think you know what are all the problems. Alright? We are not secured in a society like this anymore. So much so that we have our houses look like jail. We have to put all the bars. And when it's fire on, we do not know where we left the key, and we are trapped inside and burned inside. Like what happened to some of the families. All because of human insecurity. Because of progress. Alright? So that is the one. Now next one. Next subtitle is about learned ignorance. How much time do I still have? Your session should stop what time? Okay, I'll try to rush so that I give you more chance to discuss. I think it's important for me to go through the passage so that you can get some picture. The next subtitle talk about learned ignorance. I wouldn't call it learned ignorance. I would like to rephrase it as intellectual fools. Alright, it's the same thing actually. Learned ignorance and intellectual fools are the same thing. Now, this is very simple here. It's trying to say that actually, there are many people who think they learn a lot. Actually, they are not. They are very intellectual, but they are not wise. When you have got degree, PhDs, doctorate, it doesn't mean you are wise. If that is a case, then all the scientists are supposed to be very wise, but they are not. Look at what they have created. They have created the latest jet plane bombers, created the best tanks, the best nuclear submarine, the best Star Wars weapon. They all came from intellectual people with a lot of doctorates, until you cannot reach any more like in terms of academic status. Yet, they are not wise. Okay? So, here, this passage is just trying to tell us, if you are intellectually based, please be careful, because sometimes when we are too intellectual, we tend to analyze things too intellectually. Then we do not see the wisdom. Alright? That's especially true in Buddhism. I think you have gone through the Buddhism for Beginners course. Remember the occasion when the professor went to see a monk because he wanted to learn about Buddhism, and how they pour the tea into the cup. It's like that. Intellectuals, full of preconceived ideas, full of concepts, full of all those things. So basically, Zen Buddhism, for example, I give you, Zen Buddhism is very unique in the sense that Zen Buddhism teaches us to break away from concept. Okay, that's why in Zen Buddhism it says, if you see the Buddha on the roadside, what you should do? kill the Buddha. It doesn't mean you kill the Buddha literally. It means even that concept of Buddha you must throw away after a while. There are many people who stick to that concept and they never get enlightened. In order to get enlightened, even the concept of the Buddha has to be thrown away eventually. Because the moment you hold on to the concept of Buddha, you think Buddha is something existing outside and not something within. And you try to look for Buddha outside. But you never find Buddha outside. The real Buddha is within you and he has to be developed. Alright? So Zen Buddhist says, if you see the Buddha on the roadside, kill him. It doesn't mean literally kill the Buddha, but it's trying to say that concept of Buddha also, clinging on to the Buddha also has to be discarded after some time if you want to be enlightened. These are all concepts. Remember, the Dharma that you know as Dharma is actually not really the Dharma. Oh, this is a little bit confusing for you. Never mind, this is a little bit philosophical. There are some people who believe that the Buddha did not really speak the truth. Do you agree with the statement? Perhaps some of you dare not commit yourself to this statement because it's something very strong. There are some philosophical truth in that, in the sense that truth is never spoken. What is spoken is not truth. It's only a way to express the truth. Real truth has to be experienced. For example, what is happiness? Happiness is a cup of Coca-Cola when it's very hot, when the weather is very hot. By saying those words, you think that is truth? That is not the truth of happiness. The truth is when you really feel hot and you get a cup of Coca-Cola and you start to drink, and you say, that kind of feeling only you will know it. Nobody else can. Even no matter how flowery the word may be, I can say, but that is not the truth. The truth has to be experienced. So certain people say the real truth has to be experienced, not spoken. One is spoken, the truth is lost. Some of them will say that way. There are some truth in that philosophically, if you analyze. Right? What the Buddha says are only in Mahayana term we call skillful means. You know? Skillful means. All these are not truth. If these are truth, then you burn it and drink it. See whether you'll be enlightened or not. You will not be enlightened. These are only skillful means, a mean for you to understand the ultimate. There is no, relatively speaking, there is no absolute truth in here. It's only words for you to understand the truth. So what the Buddha has done is they have used a lot of means to make the people understand the ultimate truth. Alright? I will not go into philosophical terms. That's very philosophical. I think you do understand what I mean just now. Now, next subtitle is Beyond Science. I go to from subtitle to subtitle so that you get a picture. Just like I was saying about how Buddhism is the same as science in a certain way, but that doesn't mean Buddhism is the same as science because of limitation. Okay? And they have given all the limitation because of our senses and things like that. So now it says beyond science. Now scientific truth is relative and subject to change, but the Buddha's truth is final and absolute. That's what I said just now. The Four Noble Truths 2,500 years ago was the same as the Four Noble Truths today. Nobody has changed the Four Noble Truths. Not a single monk has dared to change the Four Noble Truths. Not a single Buddhist has dared to change the Four Noble Truths. It still stays four. So don't go around and try to be your own prophet and say, oh no, it's three, you know. Why is three? I add this one together so it becomes three. No, four will stay four for Buddhists. These are the Four Noble Truths. You go on, it is timeless. But scientific truth changes according to time. What cannot be cured can be cured in another future time. You never know. What cannot be known will be known in the future time. So the truth in science will change, but the truth in the Buddha's message is ultimate. Is akaliko in Pali. Akaliko, akali. Kali in Bahasa Malaysia, sometimes you have senja kala, purva kala. You have the word kala. Kala means time. Senja kala means twilight. Okay? Senja kala. So the kala is derived from a Pali word called kala. So now in Pali language, means not or no. So dhamma, dhamma means not dhamma. Okay? So kali means time. Akali means no time. akaliko. So the Dhamma that the Buddha preaches is akaliko, is timeless. It can stay on as the suns and the moon stays. Okay? Now Buddhism says that in order to go beyond science, we must not limit ourselves to our sensory only. That means you must not judge everything according to what you taste, you hear, you feel. Because what you hear, you feel, you see could be wrong. Sometimes we have mistaken somebody else for somebody else. Alright? Sometimes we have mistaken shadow for ghost when you walk in a dark place. Alright? What we feel, what we taste, what we hear, what we, are all subject to distortion by ourselves. But real truth is not those. So it says, if you want to go beyond science, must not just look outside. Buddha says you must look inside. And whatever that you have learned, you must practice. Only through practice you see the beauty of Buddhism. Therefore, Buddhism is not for you to study like a subject. Okay? Like what you study, It's not just that. That is the first step to study. But you must not stop there. If you want to know what Buddhism is all about, how to see the Buddha. The Buddha has given us the advice. How to see the Buddha? Go to the temple every Sunday. Yes? Dreaming about the Buddha? Use the Dharma. Okay? Now the Buddha says, yes, correct. The Buddha says, he who sees the Dharma sees me. You want to see what Buddha is like? What kind of person he is? Or he was at that time? Practice the Dharma. If you practice the Dhamma, you feel very peaceful. The Buddha is much more, umpteen times much more than that peaceful person that you know yourself. If you know, because of Buddhism, you have become wiser in handling problems. The Buddha was many, many more times wiser than what you are today after practicing the Dharma. So if you want to see what kind of person the Buddha is, practice, then you see that the Buddha. He who sees the Dharma sees me. Not me, but the Buddha, alright? Because this is a story about a monk, right? I think you know the story about this monk named Wakali. He became a monk because he liked the face of the Buddha. Right? Everywhere Buddha went, he would admire the Buddha's face. And he feel very happy, satisfied to be at the Buddha's side. So Buddha know what happened to him. The Buddha says, if you want to see the Dharma, see the Buddha, you must practice. That's how you see me. Not through appearance. You cannot see the real Buddha through the appearance, but through the practice of Dharma. Okay. Now, in order to go beyond science, we must, as what I say, we must concern with the inner change, not the outer change. Because outer change, which has been tried to be championed by the scientists, is that they try to change the world. They say we change the world to make it a better place of living. But I think a Buddhist would try as far as possible to change the world without disturbing the flow of nature. Alright? Actually what we are doing now is try to disturb the flow of nature. It all because a human being wants to have instant thing. We want to be fast. We're living in a fast world. Everything instant. Instant death also we want nowadays. Alright, we don't want to die. In America they sell books on ways of how you can die. Fast also. So, in those days, even when people make road, how do they make road? They go in accordance with nature. They go according to the contour of the road, of the hill. As far as possible, try not to disturb the nature. They go according to the contour. So you don't hear so much of landslide problem. But look at now, the bulldozer will bulldoze the whole hill through by disturbing the contour of the hill itself and creates a lot of erosion, landslides and things like that. It's because a human being wants to change, but without following the course of nature. We exploit nature. We don't go in harmony with nature. Therefore, a lot of problem comes to the world. Okay? In the name of progress. Right. I think that wraps up for just a little bit more. A tribute to Buddhism. The next topic. Here, I think is a very famous statement which has been said by Albert Einstein. I think all of you know also. Albert Einstein says, if there is any religion which can cope with modern scientific need, it will be Buddhism. He did not say any other religion. He particularly says, no, if there is any religion which can cope with modern scientific need, it will be Buddhism. Okay? Even Bertrand Russell, you know Bertrand Russell? A person who does not believe in religion, but he gives high recommendation of Buddhism. The Bertrand Russell, famous philosopher of a modern time. Now, the next one is more in terms of propagation. Now, I have covered on the science part, and how Buddhism and science, the limitation of science, and how we should go beyond science by going inner. It's an inward journey, discovery. Now, the beautiful thing about being a Buddhist is that I sometimes feel Buddhists are very lucky and very fortunate because we are not so much controlled by dogmas. If you wish to go to church tomorrow or immediately after here you want to go to next door, nobody stops you. That's the beauty of Buddhism. If you want to touch any holy book from any other religion, Chief Reverend will not get angry also. Alright? If you want to do anything to join in the activities, nobody in the authority, not even the Buddha himself, will get angry with you for doing that. There's something beautiful about being a Buddhist. I do not know whether you know it or not. Sometimes it's so beautiful that you take it for granted, that we do not know that it exists. Imagine people being born in certain religion they are not supposed to change. Imagine people being born in certain family, they have been tied up by certain dogmas of their religion they are not supposed to change. Imagine certain religious people stop the children from mixing with another religious group because they do not share the same belief, and you are not any of that category. How fortunate you are to be a Buddhist. Think about it. So Buddhism encourages its followers to study and respect the teaching of other religions. The Buddha says, if you find truth in any other religion, accept it. But here I have to re-emphasize that statement. Here is not petty truth. What the Buddha meant was, if you find truth in any religion, the truth about the law of karma, the truth about the Four Noble Truths, if any other religion teaches that, go for that religion. Not the petty truth we are talking about. These are very serious truths about the Four Noble Truths, about the law of karma. So if Buddhism were to disappear one day in this face of the earth, the next good religion that you must look for is a religion which teach you about the law of karma, which will tell you if you do good you have this, if you do bad you have this. Okay? But you see what happened is sad to say that some other religion try to keep their followers from the dark. What they do is that they are not supposed to doubt their own religion. It's sinful to ask anything about their religion. You cannot ask, cannot, better go and confess. Alright? But this does not happen in Buddhism. The Buddha says you can search as much as you like about the Dhamma, test as much as you like. If you find it suitable, take it. If you find it's not suitable, leave it. That's something not found. As for myself, been doing a lot of comparative study of other religions, it's not found in any other religion except in Buddhism. Okay? You see, some religions try to tell the people not to doubt their religion, and they do not encourage other religion to study their other religion. Their own people to study other religion. The moment they are caught, they'll be penalized. But I think some of you have Bible at home also. I do have a few Bibles at home, different versions. Alright? Nobody will catch me and penalize me under what religious code or whatever it is. It will not happen to me because I'm a Buddhist. Because I'm fortunate to be a Buddhist. But if I'm not a Buddhist, I'm in deep trouble. Okay? Some of the religion, they do so because they want to keep them in control. It's easy to keep them in control. When you don't question much, it's easy to control. That's why it's very difficult to control Buddhists. If you want to force the Buddhists to come to temple every Sunday, susah. Because there's no such rules for the Buddhists to control, for the leaders to control the Buddhists. For the Christian, they're supposed to observe the Sabbath day. For the Muslim, you're supposed to go for private prayer, Friday prayer, whether you like it or not. It is wajib. Sembayang wajib, sembayang jemaah, Jumat, wajib. It's not sunat, Sunat means you can or you can choose to or not to. But it's wajib, means you are supposed to do it. As for the Muslims, whether they like it or not, they have to go for private prayer. That's wajib according to religion. Okay? Maybe we should try to tell ourselves, not in an open sense, but in a secretly, that it is wajib for us to go to temple every Sunday, or wajib for us to come to temple every Friday to learn something about Dharma. In this way, you know, sometimes people need a little bit of pushing. This is where Christianity is successful. This is where Islam is successful. There is some kind of pushing at the back, because human beings are basically lazy. They need pushing, and then only they will do it. But again, you say, no point, right? If they don't like, you push it. But I think it works for certain people. It may not all, but it works for certain people. Right. Now, according to Buddhism, religion is not a law where you have to follow. It's only a disciplinary code which should be followed with understanding. Alright? And in this passage itself, when I read through, there a lot of feeling comes into my heart. Actually, this is what happened to our society. You see, it says here, actually, there's no real religious freedom in this world. Most of us, we are strongly tied up by our religious authority. Certain groups, tied up by our family members. These are the people who have taken away all those things from us. But for Buddhists, it's not so much. You can see, that's why a lot of Chinese, you can see Chinese Muslim, you can see Chinese Christian, Chinese Buddhist, Chinese Hindus, Chinese Rojak believer, Chinese atheist, Chinese money believer, all kinds of believers. You can see in Chinese. That's the only race in Malaysian society where it's so messy, They were talking about Chinese unity. I doubt they will ever achieve because of all these things. Basically it's like that. Chinese is very loose, in terms of our culture, and we talk a lot about culture, but actually we are the one practice the least. Talk a lot about culture, but we practice the least. How many of us still practice the traditional culture? We still wear samfu and cheongsam and all those. We don't anymore. But for the Indians, they still wear saris on certain occasions. How many of us still practice the traditional culture? We still wear samfu and cheongsam and all those. We don't anymore. But for the Indians, they still wear saris on certain occasions, They still wear. We talk a lot about culture, Chinese this, but we hardly practice also. And look at all the business world now. All the good Chinese ethics, business ethics have been broken completely. They've broken all the precepts. The scandals and this and that. Alright? And what Professor Nku Aziz said is correct. The Chinese businessmen today is not like before anymore. Previously people can trust them, but now we can't trust them anymore. Why? Probably due to Western influence, probably due to secularistic thinking. It could be. We do not know. Maybe we have been so westernized that we have adopted the Western secularistic way of thinking. Probably. It could be. I do not know. So it's up to you to think for yourself what should be done. So, now religion is not a subject to bargain with. You see, there are many people who take up religion because of what? Material gain. I remember those days when my father, this one I'll go on afterwards, then I'll touch on that. So people go for material gain, for personal gain, because you like a girl, the girl is belong to a different faith. Tak apalah, kahwin lah. Who cares, But for every Buddhist, you should care. I told myself, there are many nice Malay girls around. This is my sincere feeling only for myself. They're very nice girls. Very homely. They can be a good housewife also. But the thing which stops me from going anywhere further than that means to go beyond that, is because of religion. When you have a faith, when you have a belief, when you have a principle, you don't sell away your principle so easily. People who give up themselves easily is because they do not have principle. They do not have their own belief and faith. And for Buddhists, we must have this faith. Okay? Now, Buddhism never encouraged others to embrace Buddhism for material gain. Never. So don't try to feed a lot of mouth and then try to bring them to Buddhism. Not that. When you feed somebody's mouth, it's out of compassion you do that. Not because you want to convert that person to become a Buddhist. That's not our aim. Okay? But that was what happened to our society when people are poor. Some religions try to do that. My father, last time, used to go to a church every week. Why? To listen to the sermon. Immediately after that, there'll be free food given. One big bag of rice, few tins of milk, and all those sardine and whatever it is, sugar, bring back. Very happy. So every week she'll go. Buddhism does not. If you want to help somebody, help out of compassion, out of love. We never deny the fact Christianity have done a lot for those hungry, whatever, those people who are in famine country, country is struck by famine, We never deny it. Country like in Thailand where there is an overflow of refugees, we encourage those Christian groups to help those people. Help for the sake of helping only. Help for the sake of humanity, but not help for the sake of converting. This is what I cannot tolerate as Buddhist. And in fact, there are articles in the Asian Week. I did not bring the article. It was published in 1982, if I'm not mistaken. They show a picture about a boy, a Cambodian boy, wearing a t-shirt saying, Jesus lives, Buddha is dead. Now, I do not lie to you. This later, maybe at the opportunity, I can show you the photostat copy of that Asian Week magazine. This is what happened to them. They give them rice, they give them food, they give them medicine, they give them shelter, but they taught them, your Buddha is dead. You can never say, you look what the Buddha has done to your country. Only through Christ you can have paradise. This young kid believe, they go through wearing the t-shirt, they feel happy, they shout, Buddha is dead. That kind, I call it opportunist. I don't call it a person who is out of compassion. When you have compassion, you do it without even thinking of converting people. You help for the sake because he needs help. That's it. The Buddha himself has shown to us that he did not want to convert people. When there was this follower called Nigroda, 3 times he begged the Buddha to take him as a disciple, to become the follower of the Buddha. The Buddha refused. The Buddha says, Nigroda, you think properly because you are the follower of certain religion. You think properly, I preach to you not because I want to gain followers. The Buddha says to Nigroda, because there are many corrupted things I want you to put away. Corrupted things in the mind, in your heart that need to be put away. I teach you Dharma because of that, not because I want to convert you. The same spirit the Buddhists should have when you want to do propagation work. We do not catch on people's misfortune. Okay? So Buddhism never encouraged people to embrace Buddhism for material gain, nor do they try to exploit on poverty. That's why I say just now, people are poor, you cash on them. Give $10 every day, come to temple. Something like that. We don't do that. Sickness, when people are sick, you always come, pray for them. Eventually, sick people, their mind are not steady, You say anything, they'll say yes. That's how many people are converted before they die. I tell you, because there are many things happen. The present landlord I'm staying with, converted because of that. My former landlady, which I was staying with, converted because of that. Because people who are sick, partly also Buddhists to be brave, we hardly go and visit people who are sick. Okay? Talk a lot about Dharma with the hardly practice also. Partly we also believe, but, partly these are the people who catch on people who are not mentally okay. When you are sick, you say, you pray this, pray. Eventually, you say, you want to accept? Okay, accept. That's how they get converted just before they die. And they're very happy. Those people who converted, they have saved one soul. But I look at it as an opportunist. He's not in a position, or she is not in a position to make a decision whether to change or not to change religion at that time. Because mentally he's very disturbed, a sick person. You go and see a medium, you believe. You go and see anybody, you believe. You go and see a Bomo, also believe. A sick person. Alright? We do not do that. Or try to catch on people illiteracy or ignorance. People are stupid, people are ignorant, you try to catch on them. Not that. We don't do that. The Buddha encouraged his followers to study, analyze and practice before accepting his religion. Therefore, the same thing you must give. The very fact that the Buddha wants us to be so, you also must, when you preach the Dharma or share your Dharma with the people, make sure they study, make sure they analyze, give them the freedom to analyze, give them the freedom to ask, question and answer. Eventually let them decide for themselves. Try not to convert people. We don't want to convert. We want to change people from darkness to light, from light to light. That's our aim. So, it is very important for us to remember that as Buddhists, label is not important. You know label? I am a Buddhist. It's not important for us. The very important thing is you must practice. You may be a Christian and you may have studied the Four Noble Truths, you may have practiced meditation and you find that meditation helps you, go ahead. I will not go and say, you want to become Buddhist or not? Now you practice meditation? We will not do that. Because basically the Buddha's message is to help people. For 45 years, the Buddha spent for 22 hours per day. Times, 45 years times 22 hours. The Buddha slept for 2 hours per day only. For 45 years. I do not know whether I can live 45 years or not. But anyway, the Buddha preached for 45 years. Times by 22 hours per day, he's active. How much time did the Buddha spend for the sake of mankind? Think about it. We only come to temple once in a while, once in every week, or twice every week, or 3 times every week. The Buddha spent 22 hours every day for the sake of mankind. 2 hours only he went to sleep. Okay? So that is on the religion. Then the final topic about Buddhist missionary. Give me another 5 minutes or so. Now, as what I said just now, the aim of Buddhist propagation is not to build empires. You know, in those days, people spread religion by what way? By conquering. You conquer one area, convert the people. Conquer another area, and convert the whole people. Buddhism spreads not through that way. History has shown evidence that we have spread to all parts of the world, not through that way. You should be proud as Buddhists. For 2,500 years, there's not even a single drop of blood been dropped in the name of Buddhism. You look through the history book, don't believe, go through it. Anywhere it says that Buddhism, any of the Buddhist king fight with another Buddhist king because of their religion. You cannot find in history book. Okay? So our aim is not to set up empire, convert people, or for political achievement. But our aim of spreading the Buddha's message is because of peace and happiness. That is the most important thing. Okay? So, the Buddha, or the Buddhism itself, condemned the practice of violent methods in propagation. Now here, I would like to say a point that it doesn't mean when we... Sometimes people say, never mind lah, as Buddhists you must be tolerant, you must be patient. Look at what our tolerance and patience has done to us. People have stepped on top of our head, let go bombs on top of our head, and yet we are happy and says, no, tolerant, patient. That is not the kind of tolerant and patient. It's time the Buddhists must stand up. This is your right, you must say this is your right. Don't misuse or misdefine the word tolerant and patient. Tolerant doesn't mean you sell away your principle. Tolerant means you keep on to your principle, but you accommodate certain other people's principle. That is tolerance. A person who sells away his principle is not tolerance, that is foolish. Buddhists have their own principle, has their own belief, has their own philosophy. You must keep that philosophy. But we can tolerate. If people have a different belief, we accommodate. We may not want to convert them, but we welcome having dialogue with them and sharing discussion with them. There's nothing wrong with that. That's tolerance. It's because of the so-called tolerance that we have. Look at what Buddhism has happened to our society today. We've been strongly exploited by all other religious groups around us. This is a fact. So we must be tolerant, but not to the extent of selling away our principle. This is something I cannot compromise. Okay? So, we let other religions practice their own religion. Okay, but do not come and disturb us. I give you an example. Maybe these are things you have not come across. Maybe Brazil is such a wonderful temple, you don't see such things happening. I give you an example in Malacca Temple, Chye. 1 year when there was a Vesak celebration, They're supposed to go out for procession. A lot of Buddhists coming to the temple to pray, to have their prayer, to have their religious practices, their talks and things like that. The whole group of church members came to the temple, sang hymns, disturbs the crowd, calling them sinners, and a few of our members who are special branch members also went to talk to them, encourage them to disperse, They refused until police had to be called to catch them. Eventually, they are called to the police station. Now, when we say we are tolerant, you practice your religion. If you are happy to be a Christian, you're happy to be any other religion, go ahead, we never stopped you. But don't come to the extent of disturbing our peace. That is no more tolerant than that. There must be something to be done to put the thing into the right perspectives. The occasion when certain preacher came to the temple, tried to convert certain monks, that I cannot accept also as a Buddhist. We encourage them to propagate their religion, but not to the extent of exploiting us. Okay? So I feel the Buddhist has to be more aggressive in, this is my personal view. Thank you. I feel that the Buddhists must be a little bit more aggressive in their propagation. When I say aggressive, it doesn't mean I want you to go back and preach to the Christian. No, don't do that. Leave them aside. They are very happy. If they sing hallelujah, let them sing. But look around our Malaysian population. There are still many so-called Buddhists not exposed to Buddhism. They claim themselves to be Buddhist. They put their name, their religion as Buddhism in the whatever birth cert and whatever cert that they can have. It is them, it's our duty to preach the Dhamma to them. Nobody can say we are trying to convert any other religion. They are rightly, according to Huat, that is Huat, in terms of right, they belongs to the Buddhist community. It's just that they have not been exposed to Buddhism. We must be more aggressive to bring these people to Buddhism. Leave the Christians aside, leave all the other religions aside. They're happy, let them be. Mind our own business first. The Buddhist community need to be changed. The Buddhist community need to be educated, needs to be exposed. Therefore, I feel, personally, I feel we should go forward and try to scout around. The moment we know he's not a Christian, not a Muslim, not a Hindu, not any other, okay, you are a Buddhist, okay, come to temple. We should be more aggressive in our approach. In a way, tactful. I'm not asking you to be like hooligans, but be more tactful, but we are more dynamic in your approach. In this way, we can get more people to understand the Buddha message. Because by getting them, actually you are killing two birds with one stone. You make them know the Dhamma, one less people who are ignorant about the Dhamma outside the society. Okay? So, we must try to respect other religion in the process of spreading our religion. Because Asoka has said here, I think this quotation is very important. I read it. You can see it in page 282. Asoka says, one should not honor only one's own religion and condemn the religion of others, but one should honor other religion for this or that reason. Means you must try to respect other religion. Try not to condemn. Why? He says, in so doing, one helps one's own religion to grow and render service to the religion of others too. Means if you help your own religion, you help others. When you help others, you help yourself also. Okay? In acting otherwise, means if you try to condemn other religion, one digs the grave of one's own religion. So if you want your religion to die faster, condemn other religion. And your religion will be condemned also. Okay? And so does harm to other religion. Okay, don't do that. Whosoever honor his own religion and condemn other religion, does so indeed through devotion of his own religion, thinking, I will glorify my own religion. He thought he would glorify his own religion. But on the contrary, he says, on the contrary, in so doing, he injures his own religion more gravely. So concord is good. Let all listen and be willing to listen to the doctrine professed by others. It means keep an open mind. Emperor Asoka has shown to us in his time when he rules his kingdom. All other religion has been given the freedom to exist. Not just exist. It seems from the chronicles, documents that Asoka give financial support for other religions to build their premises, to build the religious places also. Such is the great Buddhist king, Asoka. Okay, so we should not try to condemn other religion. But again, remember, it doesn't mean you must so-called tolerate. When people step on top of your head, say where is your stand. When people step on your toes, don't pretend to be happy, smiling. Say, I'm painful, you're stepping on my toe. Say so. Okay? Don't say, nothing, That is not tolerance. That's stupid. Okay. So, wherever Buddhism went, that's what I said just now, it enriches art, culture, education, and civilization. I think this you can see. And the missioners, according to the passage here, it says, a lot of missioners, our forefathers, who have gone through hills and deserts to bring the message of peace to the world. That's why I said just now, it's so difficult for Buddhism to go to China. If you have seen the documentary film, The Silk Road, did you see that? Imagine all the deserts now. Endless desert. People have to cross to bring Buddhism to China. How many of them have died along the way with all the skeleton left? Just to bring the message of the Buddha to China. And because of that, it enriches the Chinese culture. Many words are not found in Chinese culture became existing because of Buddhism. There's no such word as Namo in Chinese religion. It only exists in the Indian language. Namo means honor. But when he went to China, we have the word Nanhu, which is pronounced as Namo. It exists. There's no such word as Nibbana, which means Nirvana. Nirvana. It enriches the Chinese culture. Look at what the Chinese community is doing to Buddhism today. Killing Buddhism. Murdering Buddhism. Making a mess of Buddhism. And our younger generation, what it took 2,000 years to build up. Our younger generation took 2 days to discard Buddhism. Or maybe 2 minutes. I don't believe in Buddhism. All rotten. You have to compare that kind of time. Many of the missionaries have spent endless hours, endless years of their life for the sake of Buddhism. Some have even written the sutras with their own blood. Nowadays we get books we don't treasure. These are the things we have to think about it. What has happened to us? It is because of that kind of spirit Buddhism flourished at that time. If we want Buddhism to flourish for another years, many years to come, we have to have, if not a lot, at least a little bit of that spirit, which our forefathers have done. Bringing Buddhism to China, bringing Buddhism to all parts of the world. We salute them for the hard work, for the good deeds they have done, that we have Buddhism that we know today. Otherwise, there will be no Buddhism. So, let us do something. Think about it. These are the things we have to do as Buddhists. Think about it. So I'll end my session here. Maybe I'll give you a few minutes to stand up and stretch your leg if you want to. I know it's a little bit uncomfortable. Yes? Okay. For example, maybe I should ask from your... There are certain principles you hold in your life, I'm sure. Do you have principle in life? Now this is the thing we must ask ourselves. You must ask yourself, do you have principles? For example, you do not like people to climb on top of your head. That is part of your principle. Okay? For example, you don't mind anybody to talk anything, but never try to condemn Buddha. That's your principle. Okay? You hold strong to that principle. You can say anything about me, but don't condemn the Buddha. I'm a Buddhist. If I'm not good, you can condemn anything about me, but please don't condemn the Buddha, because it is me who is wrong, not the Buddha. Maybe that is your principle. And anybody were to do that, which challenge your principle, you have to stay. I know I'm not good. You can condemn me, but please don't do that. Don't condemn the Buddha. For example, when I was a student, I was in charge of one society, and there was an incident where I had a confrontation with a teacher when I was a student. The teacher knew that I was a Buddhist. Immediately the teacher says, you as a Buddhist, how can you are like that? Immediately I stand up and says, teacher, I may be wrong, but it has nothing to do with my religion. That is my principle. I may be wrong, you can condemn about me, but it has nothing to do with my religion. You do not bring in, whatever is wrong with me, don't bring my grandfather, grandmother, whatever it is in. There is none of their business. It's me. It's between me and you. So that's what I mean by principle. You may have certain principle other than what I'm giving you as example. So you must not sell away your principle. Of course, your principle must be good lah. Some people have wrong principle. Then you must, look for yourself lah. Look for yourself whether your principle is good or not. If your principle is no good and then you're not willing to change, that in Hokkien we say tiki. Okay? Means you got a wrong principle and yet you stick strongly to that. Do you want to rest for a while? I think I've spoken more than enough. Good news. 10 minutes for refreshment. I think you need that. Please go ahead. Not rich little, You know rich little? You ask for it. I can't answer all questions. Anyway, within my capacity, within my experience in missionary work, maybe you can ask certain questions. Maybe I can give you satisfying answer, maybe not. But don't give up hope if I do not give you enough satisfying answer. Maybe our brothers and sisters here could add a lot of points also to your questions. So, you have taken your drinks, taken some cakes, you have loosened your legs, so should have felt better now, after 1 hour of sitting. So any questions you like to raise or any points you like to say regarding what I've said? Yes? You have a friend and you like to bring that friend to the temple. Okay, before I think of something to say, maybe some of you have already thought of something you like to add. How to bring your friend to the temple. Maybe you have done that, you have brought your friends to the temple. How did you do it? Maybe you like to share your experience with them so that they might take 1 or 2 techniques from you. Maybe it works for him. Yes? Friend for Esa. Yes, you'll be surprised. Wow. They say, Buddhist temple so many people. Say, they all speak English also. Next thing say, they sing hymns also. They'll be puzzled. Maybe, you all got books also. As if we are all, coming out from jungle, cannot read, cannot sing song, cannot do anything, But anyway, that could be one occasion I think Wesak is a good occasion to bring your friends. They might get a few books, good back. Eventually, they might read it also, and they might get attracted to Buddhism because of that. That could be one way. Festival. Yes, any other ways? It's better to get from you all because you all are living testimony why you come to the temple. Surely they are through some motivation and some help. Okay. There's another occasion, special occasion like New Year Eve, or maybe wedding ceremony in the temple. For example, you say, maybe that girl about to get married, about to, another 2 or 3 months she's supposed to get married. You say, you like to observe how a Buddhist marriage is like, This Sunday we got one couple getting married, Come and see. For that, maybe she wants, after looking through, maybe she wants to have a service in the temple. After that, that's how you might bring her in also. That could be one way also. Yes, any other opinion? Asking whether they are Buddhist or not, is it? That is a good, I normally don't ask whether you are Buddhist. I ask, are you a Christian? He says no, then I know he's not a Christian. There is a possibility, right? I normally do that when I travel by bus or what. I go for a long journey. I happen to sit with a Chinese or something, so I just ask. After talking for a while, are you a Christian? They say yes. Then I know she's a Christian or he's a Christian. Then I try to talk a little bit about Christianity, things like that. If he says he's not a Christian, then it's a good start, to talk about. I normally don't ask whether you're a Buddhist because if he's a Christian or she's a Christian, she might feel, why is this fellow asking whether I'm a Buddhist? If you ask a Christian, then he says no. Good chance, Yes, good, thank you. Now these are their experience, their suggestion. You can take it. It might be useful for you. Some more, yes, our brother? I do agree with him. In fact, everywhere I go, if I travel, in my bag, there's a small compartment. I will put some Buddhist booklets that's ready to be given to people. If I travel by train or by bus, I'll happen to sit. If next door is a Muslim, sorry lah. Try harder next time, But if it's not a Muslim, then, I just happen to talk, and if they're interested, I have these pamphlets, you'd like to read? Just might not know that later, 10 years later, say, hey, you remember me, one day you were sitting on a bus, you gave me one number, I'm now involved in a Buddhist group in here, then you know you've done something good, But, you do not know how it will work. Karma works in a very strange way sometimes. Okay, so that could be one way. So go and take the booklets, don't keep at home, let the termites eat, try to dispose it, After all, it's meant to be disposed to people. Yes, any other ways? Opportunity. You must create opportunity for them to come closer to the Dharma. That's what we should do as Buddhists. The final choice is theirs, not yours. Their choice. Whether they want to accept Buddhism or not is their choice. But you must create environment, opportunity for them. Okay, is that actually I'm not trying to say that you see, when I talk about questioning, it's questioning the ultimate. For example, certain parts of Christian things, they encourage you to discuss, to clear your doubts over certain doctrinal, gospel kind of things, those biblical doubts and things, you can question. But when you come to the ultimate question of certain things like creation and things like that, then you cannot question anymore. That is one way of pushing away the question. That could be a tactical way to answer a question by pushing the thing aside, you see. Sometimes you want to answer a question which you don't like to answer, you confuse the people. That's one way to do it also, or you give answer which is not, up to their expectation. But anyway, I do agree with you to a certain extent. In fact, in the West, actually this is not because of Christianity, this is because of modern thoughts have penetrated into their followers, so much so that they begin to question. It is because the West started to question a lot about Christianity, many of them dropped Christianity after some time. It's because of the modern way of thinking, the scientific way approaches that they use, that begins to change the whole climax. If you were to study Christianity at the early period, they don't allow that. Now we are talking about a new breed of Christians which have been penetrated with Western thoughts, modern scientific approaches. So they have been, whether they like it or not, they have to accommodate for that. But in early churches, they don't allow that. So we're not talking about the present church, but let us look a little bit back, in time, You find that was what happened. They're not allowed to question. It's sinful to question, actually. To challenge the church is a terrible thing to do. You'll be burned to death like Joan of Arc, and a few others. Alright? Really would like to comment before I comment. You should pay 10% of the salary to the church. Now I say all Buddhists pay 10%. You say, what? When the Buddhist Bible is, Buddhist scripture it says, Yes. I think basically YBM have this fund also every year, but not much lah. YBM do set aside certain sum for every year. Certain students go to varsity, they give certain grants, and YBM also have now I think for those good in SPM or STPM, they do give certain scholarship or fund or something like that for them, encouragement or something. Maybe they're not doing a lot, but they're doing something. It's a good start. So it's good that for us to realize it. That's why I said during the training program in Myanmar land for the YS, I said why Buddhism cannot grow partially is because Buddhist center failed to become a center of spiritual, cultural and educational center. It's too much of a devotional center. People come and pray and go. You must turn the temple to become an educational center where there'll be library for students to come and study. There'll be, a lot of things, educational things going on, so that people know temple is not just a place to go and pray, but it's a place for you to learn both worldly and spiritual things. This is where, if you want to turn the community to change the community to a better community, I feel temple has to change its image. Not just a place for praying. Just what the Muslims say, mosque should be a place not just for praying, but also for discussion, for educational, for all purposes. Just like the church also. Okay? So, in that sense, we all agree to what you say, right? We need to do something about this. Right? So maybe one day they might want to sponsor me to Japan for further study. I don't mind to take the grunt. Actually, we have a lot of good Buddhists who are very bright. It's just that we do not. Maybe we are not far-sighted Buddhists. Sometimes I look at the Buddhists are very short-sighted. When you look at that far, we do not see beyond there. We do not do that. You see. Whereas the Christians are very far-sighted. They know for every single boy you help, it is not the end. The money will not stop there. When he graduated, he became a very committed Christian. The money will go back to the church again. It works that way. They believe in that. Maybe we don't. It's time that we must believe in that. For every single cent we throw onto people, especially in Dhamma work, there is, if you believe in the law of karma, it will ripen in some way. Strangely, we believe in the law of karma, but we are not far-sighted in this sense. I think that's a small matter, because most of the temples are run, but not by the monk, but by a committee. You just name all the temples, they are basically run by committees. The monks sometimes have little say also. In name only, they are puppeted head in the whole temple. But the committee runs the temple sometimes. I can say most of the temples are like that. Unless that monk built the temple himself, he take care of the temple, all the donation go to him. That's a different story. But I think most temples are run by committee. So this problem should not arise. Chief priest is a monk, but yet the temple grows with his leadership. It's because he is far-sighted. It's because he's open-minded. Therefore, this temple grows. You see? So we must be far-sighted. I think the problem is not whether you handle. If you don't handle them, somebody else can handle the money. If you want to follow strictly to Vinaya, somebody else hold. There's a committee, a fund, committee to handle the money. That should not be the problem, I guess. I do not know whether you share the same view, but I look at it that way. Okay? So maybe you have any more things to say, or some more things to say? That could be a reason. I do agree to some extent that could be a reason, maybe. But then again, you find that in those days, when there are a lot of monks, still Nalanda University was built. Center for all the Buddhists all over the world came over to India during the earlier period to study in Nalanda University. It's a center of education. So they are all monks. Some of them are arahants. So to me, I think the money is not, handling of money is not a problem. It's whether we are far-sighted or not. The only time I feel the temple was doing something great, something wonderful, was when Brother O Kim Ling was injured in an accident, and which eventually made him paralyzed. Brother O Kim Ling, you all know? I think some of you know, some of you may not know. But anyway, he was paralyzed, and he was transported from Sarawak back to Kuala Lumpur. And we feel as if the whole Buddhist community is sensitive towards his need. There was this auntie cooking food for him. There was all these people taking care of him day and night and things like that. And that was something which I felt strange or wonderful, which happened in a Buddhist community. And it all happened because Brother O Kim Ling was a very special boy in his own way, and everybody loved him. I was only thinking, why not we transform the same kind of spirit, not just to O Kim Ling, Brother O Kim Ling, but to any other people in the Buddhist community who may be struck by certain accident or certain sicknesses. Do we react the same way? These questions still have not been answered, but I ask myself. We reacted very much towards Brother O Kim Ling because he's special, of his contribution to the Buddha Dharma in some ways. But what about others who are just plain Buddhists? Are we doing something? So this is a question which I hope you all can answer. When your friends are sick, we should try to show some help. Actually, that is the time they need it most. You talk a lot about Four Noble Truths, but when the people are in trouble, you never help. What kind of Four Noble Truths are you talking about? You talk a lot about compassion and love and wisdom, but when people are in trouble, where are you? So I think we have to transform into our action. What we did last time when I was in Malacca, my society and a few other society, what we did was we make a point to go to hospital every week. Hospital visit. We may not cover all the hospital wards, but only one well, 1 week once on certain ward, and we will walk around the ward, talk to some people, whether Muslims or Chinese or Christians or Buddhists or whatever it is. We will talk to them, make them feel happy, cheer them up, and we tell them we are from the Buddhist group. And they're very happy. Oh, you also come, huh? I thought Christian only come. That was what we did in Malacca. I do not know whether they still continue the tradition or not. But I think these are the little things we can do. I have those experiences. It was wonderful, talking to sick people, and sometimes some of them very pitiful because their relatives or their family member never come and see them for months, because some of the family give up on them, and maybe he's a hopeless guy at home also. So when he was stuck with trouble, the family member couldn't be bothered. So you go there and visit them, they feel very happy. Sometimes they want you to do something, or please go and inform my mother or something. So you have to do a little bit favor for them. This was what we did in Malacca. I do not know whether it is done here or not, but I know the Christian groups are doing that every week. And they have so many different churches, so you find that as if every day the Christians are there. Actually, it's only, today is this church, tomorrow is that church, and another day another church, And they make sure that they don't meet each other sometimes also, because they are rival church sometimes. Alright? Anyways, so it happened that as if every day they are there. Okay? So maybe this is another few you all can do. I do not know. Maybe the ladies section can take up. Or maybe I'm just giving suggestions. Perhaps these are the things we can look into it. Okay, that shows that we are sensitive now to certain needs of the people. The Buddhists must be sensitive, like the Buddha. How much time? Almost time. Maybe we can have one more to close up. Ask and ye shall be given, seek and ye shall find. Okay? 1, 2, which hurts you in one way or which may not agree with what you believe in, please forgive me. Some are my personal view. If you think it's good, take it. If you think it's not good, leave it aside. Okay? So, thank you for being patient.